So we have 10 live Heineken Cup games for you this weekend, 2 taking place tonight in Cardiff. It's the Pool 2 encounter between the Blues and London Irish. That's via the red button. But here at Franklin's Gardens in high definition and 3D, we have Northampton Saints doing battle with the Scarlets. Match commentary in 3D comes from Michael Liner and Mark Robson, and in HD, Stuart Barnes and Miles Harrison.
What a competition this is, the one that can produce the likes of last week's unforgettable match in Limerick in round 1, where in so many other competitions these days, round 1 of the round robin doesn't mean that much, not in the Heineken Cup. A defeat in this tournament puts you immediately right on the edge, and that is where Northampton find themselves tonight, on that edge. And Jim Malander, a lot on his mind this week, but he is the type of character who will have been able to focus on this and this selection. Northampton were to be unchanged from the side that played 6 days ago, but Ben Foden is out, George Peacey goes to full back, and Russian winger Vasily Artemiev has another chance to field the Heineken Cup as well in his first season with Northampton too. Perhaps they didn't know, Peacey and Artemiev, what it quite had in store at Thomond Park, but if that was the case, they are now fully aware of what this competition is all about. Chris Ashton in that back three, so Northampton clearly have those potent attacking weapons, but they've got a big pack as well, and that will be a major weapon tonight. The Scarlets, like the Saints, delighted to have their World Cup stars back, and didn't big winger George North go well against Cast? He's set to be a handful for defences all over the world over the next few years, and looking to release North, and the rest of this exciting backline will be another shining light of the Rugby World Cup. Rhys Priestland, he starts for the first time since coming home from New Zealand. Stephen Jones stepping down to the bench. At scrum half, Tavis Noyle not feeling too well at the start of the week, so Gareth Davis, another emerging talent, is in, and Dominic Day injured, and big Tongan Sione Timani in the second row. The benchers, Northampton's ex-Scarlet Martin Roberts is their reserve scrum half, and Wales' most capped player now, Stephen Jones, is loyally there in reserve for the Scarlets.
Well, Northampton will be relieved to face something other than Irish opposition in the Heineken Cup. Leicester wrenched that Saints tournament from them last year with a fantastic second half, 40 minutes in the final, while Munster pinched victory last week with their 40 phase final play. Today's threat comes from the Scarlets' incisive backline, who Northampton will hope to batter backwards from start to finish.
The Scarlets, never a finalist, close on 3 occasions. That semi-final against their opponents today, all those years ago, and then it was the other English giant from around these parts, Leicester, who brought an end to their cup run at the semi-final stage in 2002 and 2007. But the Scarlets will give this a go tonight. They'll give it a go all season, whilst rugby in general is giving it a go at the moment, and Rhys Priestland, one of the major reasons. Injured his shoulder at the World Cup, makes his return tonight as a starting fly half.
Would Wales have made the World Cup final had Rhys Priestland played against France? We don't know the answer to that, but we know that he's a potential Scarlets match winner tonight. It's bred in the bone, this man can play fly half, he's a real operator.
And the Saints, knowing that if they can secure the home victory tonight, then suddenly their bonus point in Munster looks useful instead of an irritating sign of narrow defeat. And no time to dwell on that 41 phase agony in Limerick. That's the nature of this competition. Failure tonight for Dylan Hartley and his team, and that might be a hangover that Northampton would not shake off for the rest of the season. Such is the importance of avoiding defeat at home in the Heineken Cup.
James Downey's gain line game is crucial tonight. If he crosses that line, the Saints establish the momentum to squeeze the life out of the Scarlets.
A little bit late, but it's Northampton's first home game for 3 weeks, so their traditional act of remembrance will be observed now in front of the memorial here at Franklin's Gardens.
When you go home, tell them of us and say, for your tomorrow we gave our today. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
Impeccably observed, and the referee to blow the whistle at the end of that moment of remembrance. Peter Fitzgibbon from Munster, of course. We have a match to savour again. A packed Franklin's Gardens, a chance for Northampton to heal last week. For the Scarlets, a chance to build on last week. And what a start it has been by Wales in general in Europe this season. The Ospreys and the Blues winning a week ago. The Dragons doing their bit in the Angling Cup too, as we saw again last night.
Time on.
And it will be the Scarlets to get this match underway in the shape of Priestland, and that went very high indeed. Excellent kickoff from the fly half, gave his forwards every chance. But Northampton secure underneath it. And remember, Northampton making that late change in the back line. Ben Foden was named in the starting 15. But that blow to the ribs last week in Munster, ruling him out. Here's Ryan Lamb. And Priestland goes back. Took it back into the 22, but not for long. Realised that. And high again. Oh, and that's a good contest involving young Liam Williams, just 20 years of age, and George Peacey, the two fullbacks. And after a bit of a fumble on the floor, we'll go back for the first knock-on from Peacey. Good chase from Williams. He's another one to watch.
Well, that was a wonderful kick from Rhys Priestland. Of course, he's an international fly half by choice, but he's played full-back. He was in the good position. And then when you've got a full-back like Liam Williams who can make the chase with the other full-back, if you like, putting the bum up, that's a really good kicking game, and that's going to be a fascinating subplot. Lamb's kick wasn't bad, Priestland's was very good, and that gives Scarlets the first scrum of the game. And this is an area where anything near parity would really suit the Scarlets. If they could get out of the scrums in one piece, they have a chance.
Do not touch until I ask for it. It must be stable, no movement.
We're starting. Go,
yeah,
Mark,
here we go.
Northampton felt aggrieved at the scrum last week. The decisions went against them. Scarlets boss Nigel Davis has made the point this week about the legality of the Northampton scrum and brought it into question in the build-up to this match. 'Twas ever thus. Sides trying to make their points psychologically and physically, and away comes Gareth Davis pretty quickly there, and he shows his pace off the boot of young Williams, and he is going to get across the line to open the scoring. It was a quick scrum, all right. It's a quick try too.
Well, maybe the Saints just didn't know about the speed of young Gareth Davis. Until the latter part of the week, they're expecting Welsh international Tavis Noyle to be there, but he's not, and Davis's speed caused problems. Peacey got to him, the pass was speculative, but the way Liam Williams hacked through, it reminded me of that wet day when Barry Davis kicked through, because when we see the replay of the finish, it's really good. Morgan does well at 8. Now look at this acceleration, it gets outside Clark. The kick, a little bit speculative, but this is really good control. He doesn't try and pick it up, does he, Williams? He just slides into the ball, knows he's in front of the Saints, and he's over for the try. What a start for the Scarlets.
4 months ago, the Scarlets fullback was a scaffolder by trade. Now, He's a professional rugby player, and he has got the first try of tonight's match, and Priestland's kicking is good again, so it should be from that range. The Scarlets lead 7-0, and Gareth Davis set them alight with that pace, got the call from Williams, came off his boot, and then, as Stuart was saying, a little bit like Barry Davis 7 years ago.
Slide into it.
When the Scarlets last won here.
But that goes back, you know, to Rhys Priestland's spot-on high ball and Liam Williams' chase. That was a very well manufactured score there from the Scarlets. Lamb's kick not quite good enough. Priestland's perfect, the chase right, the scrum position, try.
We go to the front line for the first time.
So much made of the contest between Thomas and Tonga Weir. Just watch, Tonga Weir struggles for bind. Thomas understands, he gets that right hand side up. That's just enough to get Gareth Thomas off and round the corner.
He's a live threat, isn't he, Davis, given that kind of angle.
Nice play from Ben Morgan, who's known for his ball carrying, but his control was good.
That time the threat was Lee Dixon, Northampton's scrum half, who came through and won possession.
Roll away, right!
Great turnover ball for the Saints there, that really was.
Step back.
Now Dixon tries to get everybody organised, and the attack has all gone right, as you can sort of see there. There's nothing to the left of Dixon. He has to go to his right-hand side, and he brings in James Downey, try-scorer last week. Dixon again, Hartley trying to move Laws. Well inside that 22, but the Scarlets at the moment organised in their defence. Tonga Weir offloads, but that was a risky ball, and it was stolen. Rhys Thomas going on.
Stand.
Now it's Rhys Priestland changing the angle there and making Northampton work in defence, and PC has had a pretty torrid start.
Okay.
First in the air with the catch that he couldn't make, and then losing out again to Liam Williams on his own try line. Chris Ashton, home crowd get behind him. Certainly an edgy feeling in the air here. Perhaps was at kickoff, but after the try, even more so. Northampton don't do anything to ease that edginess. Penalty.
Ready to go. Time off. 14.
Chris Ashton going to be spoken
He
to.
dives on a loose ball.
He's gone back.
Listen, your job is to listen now for a minute. If he dives on a loose ball, you can't dive on top of him. Keep your feet. No afters. Number 9.
Not one of life's more natural listeners. Recent author Chris Ashton. There you can see George Davis doesn't control the ball. Ashton off his feet there, doesn't let him up. There's no doubt that's a penalty. It's interesting, since Gareth Davis made that really nice little break early on, twice Northampton have got to him and skagged him. They're going to put pressure on the young scrum half.
His Heineken Cup debut. Tavis Noyle felt unwell earlier in the week, but it was a selection issue as well, according to Nigel Davis. And the failure to find touch is a big disappointment there for the Scarlets, allowing Northampton to relieve some of the territorial pressure, but not all of it.
Well, it's probably cost the Scarlets 15 metres, hasn't it? Normally, from that angle, Priestland would have looked for the 22. He went for broke. He's still not got a bad position, but he could have been 15, 20 metres further upfield.
Thrown in by Matthew Rhys. Not his intended target, but it works for the Scarlets. Davis.
Release, green!
It was Rhys Thomas taking that ball on. And then it's big Ben Morgan, the number 8. Another try scorer a week ago. And it's Roger Wilson who gets in for Northampton, their number 8. Another chance to run with Timani, the Tongan international. Davis finds Priestland. Here's John Davis. John Davis alongside Scott Williams in the Scarlets midfield. Both, of course, made their, or enhanced their reputations at the Rugby World Cup. Certainly on the map now, globally, those two. And And here, another man on the map globally, George North. Like Chris Ashton, always looking for work coming off that wing. Make a case at the moment, maybe the Lions wingers, those two. Sean Lamont, the Scottish international, 60 caps to his name.
Release Green, tackler!
In this really exciting looking Scarlets back line.
Rock, no hands!
Here comes Priestland to find Williams. Then the call from Peter Fitzgibbon is backwards. The crowd, the home crowd, don't like that. Travelling Scarlet support. Happy with the failure to give any possible knock-on, but they'll be unhappy now as that one is called forward, the pass. And there is Nigel Davis. And we have a latest score from the game being played between the Cardiff Blues and London Irish in Pool 2, and it's a good start game for the Welsh team. 10-0, Blues lead.
Scarlets using Ben Morgan very well. Two forwards, the decoy, and that enables Morgan to really hit from late. And there's the two decoy men. The scrum half, Gareth Davis, doesn't go there, bang. Comes from wide, comes through. It's not about making 30 metres, it's making 10, and it's constantly getting over the gain line. And that is what Morgan did then. What a start for the Welsh regions again.
Dixon puts in. And Northampton put on the back foot by what happened last week at Thomond Park. Loss of control again, and there goes North. Jonathan Edwards tries to get there to be the man that supplies the continuity.
Release Green!
To keep this flying towards the Northampton line. The Scarlets already one try to the good. Is it about to be two? There's Yeston Thomas.
Release Green!
The old man of the pack. Here goes Rhys Priestland. Tackled by Courtney Laws. Davis sends them back in. Scott Williams, one of those. The back joining the forwards. Damien Walsh is there. Davis again. That's good stepping from Scott Williams. Such a powerful man when he pushes off either side. Down in the corner now. Can they work a position? Majority. Davis.
I'll tell you what, George
This is
Morgan's
really good from the Scarlets.
Morgan's in a lot of space.
And he's waiting on this side. But it is lost forward.
Knocked down by Red.
And Northampton will be very relieved.
Knocked down
Well,
by
what
Red.
Northampton did there, they committed themselves to the breakdown. They decided they weren't going to just absorb pressure. They were going to challenge that contact zone, and they had to do it. And they did it really well. The Scarlets coming hard at them there. Very sloppy scrum here. Ball squirts out. Dixon's looking one way.
Nothing after the whistle, okay, be careful.
Scrum slews, and suddenly it's out. Really nice footwork there from the scrum half, and there's that step of George North. Very powerful man, big man, but very balanced, isn't he?
I'll just step in for a second just to get the engagement.
Once again, what you're seeing, the Scarlets forwards, they're not static, are they? They're coming with depth onto the ball.
It's fine.
Sir, come on. Much respect, sir.
Made the long journey, and so far more than worthwhile. Signs are really good for the Scarlets here.
Wasn't Scott Quinnell in that red cowboy hat, was it? I thought it was Scott.
If it's not at the moment, it won't be long before it is. Bit of an early drive there from the Scarlets, and the referee calls it free kick, but Dixon is called back. The crowd won't like that either. Chance for Lee Dixon to maybe get away.
It's got to leave your hands.
He was their choice as player of the season last season. The supporters' choice
Steady
here.
scrum, please, Red.
Nothing nervous, nothing lethargic about the start to this game. A little bit frenetic. A few too many errors from a Northampton point of view, but the Scarlets showing they can score when errors are made.
That's not gone out. He's kept in by Liam Williams,
Keep coming, Red.
who also has been playing on the wing. Looks a very solid young full-back. Back from Morgan to Priestland. Williams again. Bit of the JPR about him with those floppy locks. And sideburn somewhere underneath. That's a mistake from Ryan Lamb, kicking the ball a long way dead. And there's no doubt that Northampton, last year's finalists, are rattled here.
Yeah, we talked about the Northampton pack, and Jim Maloney looks on. It's not the pack at the moment that worry him most. The kicking game's just not going that way. Ryan Lamb just put a really sloppy kick in. But once again, we talked about Priestland's up and under that gave position for the first try. Watch this kick now from Liam Williams. Keeps the ball in because it was a free kick, not a penalty. Great chase, ball comes back. Priestland, lots of time with Morgan to keep it alive. And then Lamb puts it out. The visitors are winning the kicking exchanges in the first 13 minutes.
Pause. And get.
Oh, now that. Oh, the ball has been called out. Northampton could well have had a case for a penalty there. They absolutely demolished the Scarlet scrum.
Oh, believe me, Majati, Tongaweer and company will love that. It collapses and the pressure comes through there. There's a Northampton hand trying to squeeze it back, but look at that pressure coming through there. Great body position there. Tongaweer getting right into Reece Thomas.
6. The whistle is gone. Don't get involved, okay?
That is ominous. That's a scrum, and Brian Majati taking the applause.
Who was the Players' Player of the Year here last season. The one they called the Mooch.
He's quick as well. He's not just a scrummager, is he? Is it Voss he scored a 30-metre sprinting try against recently? The Mooch.
Indeed it was. Even though Northampton could have had a penalty there, be quite pleased to get another scrum.
They might be, yeah. Well, especially as Dylan Hartley is captain of the team. If you had a fly half captain, he might have wanted the penalty in 50 metres. You got a hooker, he says, I don't care about 50 metres, give me another scrum. Let me into Matthew Rees, former Welsh captain.
Touch!
The first position of strength for Northampton in the game. The scrum, and they're going for it again, and they're going to get the penalty. And that's almost the perfect result now, because it adds to the physical and psychological issues for the Scarlets, and they get the penalty at exactly the same point, and now they can go for territory.
Yeah, gave them a roughing up in the first scrum, didn't they? And then got the technical decision in the second one, and the fly half gets his wish. He doesn't make 50 metres, but he makes 30 or so, and the Northampton team and their captain Dylan Hartley will feel a whole lot better about life after that last 2 scrums.
Hartley, whose leadership just gets stronger and stronger with every passing game. And that's a good throw from the England hooker. Oh, and you could hear the cry of anguish there on the referee's microphone from James Downey as he lost possession in the tackle. And it was George North who came back for the Scarlets. And here's Liam Williams again. He's going to tussle for that ball, and he does well to find his colleague Scott Williams. He scored 4 tries in his 7 caps for Wales so far. There's another Northampton penalty, this time on halfway.
Not releasing. Arriving player on his feet.
Peter Fitzgibbon given the reason.
Scarlets have just got to be careful. There's not much they can do about the penalties at the scrum. They're just folding there, but they mustn't give unnecessary penalties away in the rest of the game, because what it'll do, it'll give Northampton a foothold. The Scarlets got the early score, the all-important start to the game, but every time a penalty is conceded, it gives the Saints a line out 30 metres out. You saw the last one, Tom Wood at the back, very dangerous. Clark won't keep dropping them. Downey will go for balls, they'll drive.
And they drive Laws back quite a long way there. Northampton concerned about the touchline, but not touching it. And nor is Chris Ashton, who comes blasting off it. Lamb's not going to have a chance with that one, but Downey puts that one in the basket. Makes no mistake this time. Gets it back to Dixon. Wilson.
Runaway tackler. Advantage.
And another penalty at the breakdown, conceded by the Scarlets.
Must roll away from the ball.
And it should be 3 points.
Too many penalties, but also a sign that Northampton are just starting to get over that gain line, but they're getting position, they're getting put into line-outs and scrums, they're getting the front foot, and this is what the Scarlets have got to stop. That's a clever ball from Dixon, the scrum half. Every time Northampton make gain, even with a bad pass like this, they're going to be hard to stop. They are a gain line team. Scarlets, you can see, working really hard to stop them there, but in the end they concede a penalty.
And the man to take it is that man, Ryan Lamb. Lost at Thomond Park last week, as he did last season in London Irish colours.
Yes.
And a Thomond Park-like quietness for the kick, and for Ryan Lamb, who makes no mistake and gets Northampton on the board as we start to approach the midway point of this first half. Northampton 7, Northampton 3, the Scarlets 7.
Yeah, it hasn't been pretty from the Saints, but they're just starting to get their battering game going. It's centred around the fundamentals of the scrum, and they're just getting over that gain line. Scarlets need some ball, they need some break this game up a bit. Northampton just finding a forward rhythm.
Oh, that's an offside at the kick-off there. Lamont was well in front of the kicker. Shingler's gone on, and he's going to score!
Backwards from Green.
Again, the call is backwards. Shingler is the man to profit from Lamont's chase. But I thought Lamont was offside at the kick-off for starters. And then we didn't have the best view of what happened in that melee of bodies from the restart. The referee is quite happy that Aaron Shingler is a try scorer, the Scarlets' second of the night.
Well, I think we look at this after the try, it looks very much like he's right. Once again, the kick-in game of the Scarlets. That is a brilliant kick from Priestland. The crowd are very unhappy, but the referee, Peter Fitzgibbon, is in a great position. And Shingler is very quick. Great kick from Priestland. Offside or not, we'll look at that in a second.
Well, my first feeling was that it isn't offside. We're virtually in line. I suppose we should be in a commentary position with halfway. And still the boos ring around the ground, but it's on the board. That's what really matters, and Priestland tries to add the conversion. That's going to be very close, and it's going to be the right side of the post as well. And the Scarlets are 14-3 in front, and Peter Fitzgibbon still gets the boos. Now there is the offside, Lamont leading the charge.
Miles,
he was clearly in front.
Miles, you need to see it here. You can see he's offside, but if you look at this now, there's the halfway line, there's Lamont. You've seen the kick hasn't happened there. He is offside, but you've got to play what happens, and it was another brilliant kick from Reece Priestland. The basics of the boot, the order of the game at the moment.
And here's Roger Wilson underneath the high ball for Northampton, who've got a long way to come back here against a very, very good side. And Northampton's Heineken Cup hopes this season, and it seems almost ridiculous to be saying it, 21 and a half minutes into their second match, could be on the line here. Here's Lamb. Here's Liam Williams again. He's made such a confident start at full-back, but it is a Northampton penalty.
Put it down, it's not yours.
As the ball does not come back quickly enough from another breakdown for the Llanelli Scarlets. Now, was there another reason for the crowd being unhappy? We saw the restart, as Peter Fitzgibbon nominates that Northampton will go for the post. Now, was this a knock-on?
It may have been right fingertips. It may have been Courtney Lawes' high. It's off a Scarlet hand going forward. That's what they're upset about. I don't think they're as eagle-eyed as you were at the kick-off. There was definitely an infringement, and that's the knock-on. Comes off the right hand, and that's why the home crowd are livid, and it's disappointing refereeing. It's outstanding predatory instincts from Schindler, though.
And Ryan Lamb starts to haul Northampton back into it at 6:14, and I've just been told that Aaron Shingler's brother Stephen, who of course used to be with the Scarlets, now plays with London Irish, has been sent off in the match against the Cardiff Blues tonight at the Cardiff City Stadium for a tip tackle. What a contrast then for the brothers. Aaron scores a try here, and almost at the same moment, brother Stephen is seeing red, not wearing red. He's in the green now of London Irish, but he's off the field.
Another wonderful kick from Priestland. This time Northampton deal with it.
Downey and PC really was given no chance there, nor Clark. And as well as the Scarlets are playing, Northampton themselves are being their own worst enemy at times.
Well, they're playing with a little bit more width than we often see from Northampton in their own 22. And it has been said, James Downey very good on the gain line, but Jim Mallender does not have the most creative pair of centres. It was a criticism last year, and you certainly can't help but criticise James Downey's pass in there. That's awful. And that really does hand great attacking position to the Scarlets. There's a man who likes running into people rather than passing into space, and that's one of the reasons why he hasn't gone on and played for Ireland. You saw it there.
Touch. Pause. Engage.
And just to confirm, that's still the latest score between the Blues and Irish, but a man down there, and Davis and Morgan try and combine here to create a third try for the Scarlets in this fascinating, at times amazing first half.
It's smart from Scarlets at the scrum. They're under pressure, but the Channel 1 strike from Rees is pretty quick, and this guy Ben Morgan has got very good hands at the base, and his relationship with Gareth Davis is excellent. I think Northampton just think because they've got the push on, there's no way the Scarlets are going to hurt them. But twice, left to right on the right hand, look, bang, really quick strike. Morgan is fast, he pulls wide from Clark. Very clever, good defence from Northampton, but they're thinking and moving fast, aren't they?
I say amazing, not because we didn't expect the Scarlets to play well, of course. They have been playing well and are a genuine threat to anybody on their day in this tournament. It's just that Northampton do not look remotely like the home side here. And that's one thing you expected would be the case tonight, for Northampton to assert themselves at home, having been so assertive away last week.
Well, I guess, Miles, that's the key, is probably that try so early in the game, because it unnerved Northampton and it settled the Scarlets. And, you know, the one area where Northampton have come back, they put a lot of pressure in the scrums, but that alone isn't always enough.
Rees throws, and he's very accurate as well.
Good competition at that line out.
Two fine hookers in Matthew Rees. Good to see him back to fitness. Desperately sorry story to miss out on the World Cup and all that happened there for him, but great to see him back. And Dylan Hartley against him tonight. That's going to be a fine battle. Hartley tries to get a boot in there. Gareth Davis to Rees Priestland. Liam Williams, he's only got George North with him, but North tends to count for two. That was some tackle from Courtney Laws on Liam Williams.
Who tackles for two.
Here's Lamb. Downey and Clark. And Northampton do secure it at the breakdown. Lamb again goes into midfield. And it's kicked on by Matthew Rees, and pressure here on Russian Artemiev. Not for long, because George North tackles for two as well. Probably eats for two.
Getting physical. This is trademark Courtney Laws. Bang. Technically, he's so strong there. Liam Williams enjoyed the game. Would not have enjoyed that moment. Felled. That's a good ball from Lamb, but hands go again. The kick through. Artemiev, he's got really good feet, but you're not going to go outside George North in a metre or inside him. He's a very clever defender. Hartley loses the ball, and it's Rees kicks on. Start of this game, I just wonder if Dean, if you're listening, Dean. Start of this game, Scarlett seemed okay, and it's almost as if there was a Northampton gear shift in the set piece. What went on?
Well, I think what we know is that Tonga is struggling to find his bind initially against Thomas. If he gets that wrong, he's really struggling to get his power, and he's requiring Hartley to come through. If Thomas gets it right, they get that right-hand edge, and they give Gareth Davies a chance to get up round the side.
Voice there of Dean Ryan, a man on the front line. On the front line for Northampton here, on that defensive line. Players who will be concerned, but not overly anxious surely at the moment. There's a lot of time left in this game. He just needs the Scarlets to get the next score.
Oh, there's an eternity for Northampton, isn't there? But the problem for the home team is they have allowed the Scarlets the chance to play their way into the game, and what the Scarlets have done is taken the opportunity with both hands. One has to say Northampton were very disappointed with Peter Fitzgibbons officiating for the second try, but again, it was a wonderful kick-off, and Shingler did really well. You know, if the breaks go your way, you've got to take them, and they are.
It's always played with a whistle. George North is trying to get back on his feet, but he did look in genuine pain there. Player that the Scarlets, or any neutral, would not want to see go off, and Roger Wilson trying to do his own blast away off the base of a scrum, and Chris Ashton. Northampton's winger might have got a bit of a knock there. No, he's pulled back to his feet by Sean Lamont, of course, he played against at the World Cup. England versus Scotland, and Northampton made good ground.
Tremendous work from Wilson. Great scrum. Look at this step. Jonathan Davis, Welsh international, left for dead by the number 8. And superb covering tackle there on Ashton.
Hartley throws. He was looking for Callum Clark. He didn't find him. Here's Lamb, and then Downey. As ever, gain line success when James Downey gets the ball. Now Lamb again goes wide to find PC. PC to Artemiev. And he slips inside that aggressive tackle.
Go forward.
Another one that the home crowd won't like, but the referee and his assistant were in pretty good position there, and they have given the knock-on.
Ryan Lamb is really fizzing balls off his right hand, and that's important because it gives the wide men a little bit more time. Look at the speed on that pass. That enables PC to get it away. Well, I've seen them given. Seen a lot of them given, and I've seen them not given as well. He goes for the ball and he goes up, rides off of the ball. I'm with the referee on that. That started plenty of distance from the net, didn't it?
The officials are very hot on those now.
Yeah.
And for one not to be given, I think with the confirmation of the replay there, I think it was a pretty fair call. Now Shingler, whose night was going so well, is now going off for Matt Gilbert, who comes on to make his Heineken Cup debut.
Pause. Engage.
So that's 2 Shinglers off now around the Heineken Cup tonight for different reasons. Scarlets in trouble here, just short of their own line. Try and bring the ball away, and it's Newman Gilbert who does it.
What a heroic start to the game.
What an excellent introduction into the game from him. And Reece Priestland, not with a lot of time there, gets the ball away. Artemiev, the only man to touch it. He could take a quick one, but he has no interest in that whatsoever. Fine clearing kick from Reece Priestland.
What a booming scrum this is, though, from Northampton. Well, a classic illustration of what Dean was just saying there. Tonga and Rhys Thomas at it, and that ball just burst free. It's so frustrating for the Saints. But in the bigger picture, they'll look at that scrum and they'll think, under pressure, Scarlets.
Law's immediate whistle there from the referee. It's caused a flashpoint as Laws came to the ground. Northampton don't like it. They've already got the decision, but they want to make a bigger point than that. And of course, the Scarlets respond to protect their colleagues.
Move away. Move away. Move away. Nothing. No, just players coming in, but it's the pull down in the line out. Yeah. The sub, number 20.
It's Matt Gilbert again.
Don't touch a player in the air in the line out. Okay, be very, very careful. It's penalty against you.
He's only been out a minute, he's played a match.
I thought Tamani reacted really aggressively as well. I don't know if anything happened there, but second row came bursting through. I thought Peter Fitzgibbon had given the penalty, and there didn't seem to be an immediate flashpoint. We'll watch what happens now. Clearly there's a penalty. Keep your eye on number 4 to the right of the picture. Bang it! Oh, he's just trying to make sure that Northampton don't go quickly. It's something the Scarlets have done all day, and they don't like it. That's a penalty, all right. Clearly there, left hand of Gilbert.
Right boot of Lamb now. Northampton need these points, and they get those points from Ryan Lamb, who was hitting the ball beautifully at Thomond Park last week, and he's continued this week in round 2.
The forwards are scrapping their way back into it. Dorian West, the hint of a smile, a rueful shake of the head from Jim Mallender. Nothing really in it now, 5 points.
Offside at the kickoff or restart.
I don't know why they're going in front of the kicker either, if they did that time, because Priestland's kickoffs, again, absolutely exquisite. No, that's a perfect one. But again, the height of that is magnificent. These are picture-perfect kickoffs.
Yes, I didn't pose the question there, wasn't quite so sure, not as clear-cut. And it has to be obvious for the referee to give it, otherwise we'll always be restarting the game again and again. And players looking for any advantage they can gain, and rightly so. That's not straight.
Not straight.
And a hint of irony in some of the jeers from the Northampton crowd.
Yeah, there's an edge to this atmosphere at the moment as well, isn't there? Yeah, Matthew Rees, former Wales captain, Lions hooker, he'll be disappointed with that. But that's partly pressure. Sometimes hookers don't throw it straight, and that's a poor throw, but that's because Northampton are getting men up the front and putting them under pressure.
Pause! Engage!
Fortress Franklin's lost just one of their last 9 here. That was to London Irish in the English Premiership in September, and that was by just 1 point. And they haven't lost on this ground in Europe for 4 years now, since Biarritz won in 2007.
And right now, after 34 minutes, they are 5 points behind. But on the balance of what we've seen in the forward power and their ability to squeeze the Scarlets, they would probably be favourites at the moment. But it's that threat of the Scarlets breaking away and sloppiness from the Saints.
Here's Wilson. Again, he's strong off the base of that scrum, the Ulsterman.
Hold.
Been with the Saints for 3 years now. Aston chasing, but Liam Williams was well protected. but North not protecting the ball, strangely from him, but it's backwards again. Boot comes in, Northampton have disrupted. Here's Laws, wants to ship it on to Vasily Artemiev. Had he taken that ball last week, and Northampton, you'd have thought, would have gone on to win the match. Here's Lamb going for the corner on the angle. It's a super kick from Ryan Lamb, who looks full of confidence. He's never short on confidence, but he is brimming over at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah, he's playing a little bit wider there. He gives himself half a field to play with, and he catches that one beautifully. Got all the time in the world. I got Michael Liner commented in 3D. I've got Gareth Davis, the former Welsh legend fly half, in front of me. Both of those fly halves would have been delighted with that kick from Lamb.
And I've got Stuart Barnes.
Yeah, well, he could dream of that kick. And that's where it ends. Thanks, Miles.
Here's Rees, goes for the safe ball at the front, although Northampton were trying to get all over Damien Welsh.
Oh, brilliant. Morgan, a brilliant carry.
Priestland. PC. Sort of needs to get himself into the match, George PC, and he tries with that run. Dixon to the short side, and it was Downey and Wilson. Dixon again. Finds Hartley. Lamb to Sorensen. He's been putting in the tackles so far, Mark Sorensen. Put in a run there, and the mistake. And it's play on, of course. And it's kicked on by John Davis. And the referee deems that sufficient advantage.
Interesting, Northampton coming back on the short side, two Scarlets defenders, and when Northampton have the ball, look outside, there are three forwards there in a clear pod there. It's an opportunity, but they don't get the pass in right at all. You can see there's a 2-on-1 if they get that ball away. Only Liam Williams waiting deep. I wonder if they'll play that again.
Taken by Laws at the line out. And Dixon just rolls it back. There's 1 eye on the clock here. Northampton not in the area of the field that they would want to launch an attack from. Here's Sean Lamont. Of course, Munster got that late try in the first half a week ago. Dylan Hartley gets a bit of shoe there. He's on the wrong side. Gareth Davis wants quick ball. And lets the Northampton captain know about it. Priestland just tests out PC once more with the high ball, and he doesn't pass the test. It's given to George North. The call is from John Davis. One more pass might do it. Here it does, and it's Matt Gilbert, the replacement, and the Scarlets score again. Their third try in this first half, and that one was gifted to them, but it still needed scoring, and it was calm, it was collected, and the Scarlets are on the edge of something very special here.
Again, it emanates from the boot of Priestland, but this time it's overcooked by Priestland. There's no excuse. Peacey's got all the time in the world. Eye off the ball, and thereafter there's always a chance. North does very well, so does Davis. There's very clever play. Ashton was always panicking to get there, but you could see there's no Scarlets men there. Peacey just loses the ball in the air, and doesn't North and Davis combine well. Gilbert slides through there. He's made one brilliant 5-metre carry from his try line, and he's just hobbled over 3 metres for a try the other end. Incredible.
And Northampton were caught again on the stroke of half-time, and look at that scoreline now. PC, a late replacement for Ben Foden. He never looked sure underneath it, did he? Then North gave it on to Davis, and this was the time not to panic. They didn't, and Matt Gilbert goes in.
Miles, they did that really well after the awful error from PC, though. That's still, there was work to be done, and the Scarlets, North and Davis, got the angles right as we go to half-time. I said a minute ago, Northampton should still be favourites. 9:21, with the Scarlets scoring just as Munster did. Wow. That's a penalty given by Peter Fitzgibbon.
After the fact, yeah, he's just tapping your player on the head. Okay.
Wow. Wow.
So we're told that it's the number 9 for the Scarlets, Gareth Davis, who has been penalised for lack of discipline, a bit of back chat, a little tap on the head as well. Zero tolerance from Peter Fitzgibbon.
And this one really matters.
Can Lamb do it from halfway? Well, the answer is no. So Northampton given a gift of their own just before the half-time whistle, but they couldn't unwrap it. The Scarlets certainly unwrapped theirs, and at the moment, with 3 tries in the first half, the Scarlets leading by 21 points to 9.
Yeah, Northampton have the scrum and they've got the home crowd, but Priestland's boot has been to the fore. Peter Fitzgibbon made one big error for a try. George Peacey made an even bigger one, and the Scarlets, they're taking their chances. They deserve the lead.
The crowd are restless. The Northampton team have looked restless as well. Will Jim Mallender be here to see through the Heineken Cup campaign? Has that had any effect, that talk, on the Northampton camp this week? Who knows? But what we do know is that Northampton have an awful lot of work to do here.
They certainly do. Last year's runners-up are staring into the void. It's been a horrible first 40 minutes for the home side, and the visitors, the Scarlets, have taken every opportunity that has come their way on a 6-game winning run, of course, and they very much in the ascendancy. The Saints have got a lot of work to do to find their way out of this one. Half-time analysis comes next. So a busy weekend of Heineken Cup action gets going again tomorrow from 1 o'clock. We're on HD1 with Biarritz against Saracens. If you prefer, you can see the Ospreys trip to Treviso via the red button. At 20 to 4, it's Castra against Munster. But then the all-English affair from Kingsholm, also available via the interactive service. And then at 6, we're based at Welford Road all day, actually, for their game, the Tigers game against Ulster. Or you can see what should be a cracker at the sports ground as Connacht, the debutants, welcome 4 times champions Toulouse, again via the interactive service. And we are back on Sunday as well with another doubleheader for you. Leinster, the defending champions, welcome Glasgow, and Bath have got to get a win against Montpellier from 12:30 on HD3. A thoroughly absorbing first 40 minutes. It's extraordinary what confidence does, doesn't it? I mean, everyone's saying that Northampton really expected to come out of the traps here. The Scarlets have just had it all their own way so far.
Well, you know, people say, you know, that maybe fortuitous with some of the tries, but the thing is, they're chasing fast. As soon as the ball's available, they're right on top of it. They look very fit, you know, chasing with great speed. I think the threat of George North on that right side was partly contributed to the first try, because they overcompensated and pushing towards George North, and obviously all tries from kicks.
Absolutely, and ironic it's come from a scrum.
It's a great 8-9 round the corner. John Clark, it's Clark stitches up Clark. John Clark asks Callum Clark to do too much. The gap's too big between the first defender. As Sean says, they're worried about George North. The gap then opens up the middle where you don't ever want to let anyone go. And a hack on by Williams. In the end, it's a really well taken, smartly taken try. That ability, if they can get that in and out, that channel one. Ben Morgan, fantastic carrier, very clever footballer at the base of the Scarlets, isn't he? Gets the ball in a way. They are so dangerous.
Absolutely, and perhaps Northampton fans will feel aggrieved off the back of last weekend. Perhaps a knock-on in the lead up to Doug Howlett's try. I mean, you said that perhaps the Scarlets have been a little bit fortuitous. Surely there's an example here, isn't there?
Well, you'd have to say maybe it came off a Scarlet hand, but what a restart. I mean, I don't know whether to laugh or cry watching this match, because the performance of Rhys Priestland is absolutely outstanding, and
he's just shown, hasn't he, his composure. Just watching the game, we were behind the posts in the studio, just watching Priestland's movement off the ball. At times it's almost confusing his scrum half, isn't it, Davies, who doesn't know where he's going, but he's just waiting. His kicking game has absolutely pinned Northampton back. And then weirdly enough, of course, I mean, the try that we'll look at in a little bit, the third try actually comes from one of his bad kick, but his restart, spectacular. His composure, his calmness. He's gone from a guy who was a bit part Welsh player been given the confidence of the number 10 jersey and now looks absolutely world class.
We'll talk more in just a moment about the backs, but let's head down to the front line where Dean is going to look at the scrums. Dean.
Well, we talked pre-game about the power of the Saints back and the pace of the Scarlets, but we also talked about Scarlets' ability to minimise their weaknesses, and no more so when it comes to scrum time. Thomas is making life very, very difficult. It isn't a power contest because he's going to lose, but he has to make sure he maintains an ability to engage in there. Let's have a look what he's up to. He's making life very difficult for Tonga Weir to get his power in because he can't get the bind. You see there he slips. He tries to go on the outside, which just means he loses that real power and they get an opportunity to get away. Now what Tonga Weir does is say to his mate Hartley, you're going to come with me. I need everything you've got. I've lost my bind again, but watch Hartley. Watch the power straight over the top. You see the buckle. That's Reese underneath him, a real psychological. But this is where they're smart. Now's the time for a right-hand side. Watch him engage. As he goes in, can't get his bind again. Watch the angle, right-hand side up, and then that man, Ben Morgan, gets an opportunity to get off and round the attack where they can go attack. So it's not just about the pushing contest. Sometimes we get obsessed with it. It's about being smart, engage, and get away with the right result.
Yes, the Scarlets have played around it, haven't they? And they, at the moment, very much in the ascendancy. What is it about Welsh rugby at the moment? Because over in Cardiff, things going very well, as you would have guessed, for the Blues as well. They are up against London Irish. A couple of very interested viewers there. We've got the final part of that jigsaw with us this evening, but no doubt they will be pleased with what they've seen from the Blues as well. This, a red card incident from London Irish. Steve Stringlet going straight off for this incident. His brother, of course, a try scorer here, but no yellow card, straight to the bin, and London Irish's discipline problems continue, and this is the second of their tries. Reese Thomas, it was the hooker who got the first, and this Lloyd Williams spotting space and going himself all the way to the line. So the Blues looking very good in that one. London Irish as well, staring into the abyss. Smiles all round for all our Welsh contingent here at Sky Sports this evening, and the biggest of them on the face of Scott Quinnell. Scotty, let's first of all talk about what a first half from your old boys, the Scarlets. How impressed have you been?
Well, they've been absolutely wonderful, and the Scarlets fans have come up with their 100. They got in fine voice here at half-time, but you've got to say they started particularly well. When you have a look at the scrummage, we thought would be a weakness. The first couple of scrums, they were wonderful. They really did come into their own. They came off Ben Morgan, wonderful off the back of that scrum, but then it's been the back line. And Sean can't say it in the studio, I will say it. Reese Priestland, that's what they missed in the semi-final. His control, being able to play in the right areas, taking pressure off people inside and outside of him, and it's been a wonderful, wonderful performance by everybody. That line chase has been superb. The energy that the Scarlets have showed in that first half has been absolutely wonderful. They'll have to continue for the next 40 minutes because we know that the Saints have the ability to grind, shut things down. The Scarlets just cannot let that happen.
He's desperate to get his boots back on, isn't he? You can see it in the eyes.
Take a breath, Scott, take a breath.
Absolutely. They are in a great position. Absolutely. I mean, we were talking about where they are now, though, because of the try they scored right on the stroke of half-time. I mean, Northampton are going to be kicking themselves with this, aren't they?
Absolutely, and obviously missing the star fullback in Ben Forden, both in counter-attacking opportunities and obviously in the aerial battle, which, let's be honest, Northampton are losing miserably.
It's a great taken try, wonderful offloads. Guys come in, pop it. The greasy ball, they cope with exceptionally well. The pick-up, great pick-up by North off his toes. Artemiev couldn't do it against Munster last week. Great offload, and it goes there. And I think one of the things it highlights there is the precision that the Scarlets have. Yeah. Northampton, that first half, every time they've got the ball, they've given it straight back through some poor kicks or so the handling has just not coped with the ball.
What are the key messages do you feel that Jim Malander will be issuing in that changing room?
Got to score first. I think they can allow to concede about 3 points. They're playing the favourite way, downhill. It's obvious that Northampton won the toss because they always play that way. They're playing downhill, get an early scoring, and hopefully the Clanathley team will start to jitter then and put the squeeze on, going downhill with the driving line, etc. But also they need a little bit more at the back line. The back line has not been as potent as it normally is.
Very quickly, do you think there is a backlash in Northampton?
Well, there has to be. You don't lose the first two games of the Heineken Cup and get out the group. They're the facts.
Absolutely. Guys, thank you very much indeed. We must take another quick break and then it is time to get this one underway again. Breathless in the first half from the Scarlets on this 6-game winning run, as we said, and one more try, would you believe it, gives them the try bonus point. But all their thoughts at the moment on securing the victory. Northampton in a hole and they have to start digging. Their Heineken Cup campaign is on the line. Second half in just a few moments' time. If you miss any of the action this weekend, we will round it all up for you on Sunday evening in European Rugby Special from 10 o'clock, and that is on HD2. What will be the highlight from Franklin's Gardens? A lot to be resolved as we hand back to your commentators in 3D, Michael Liner and Mark Robson, and in high definition, Stuart Barnes and Miles Harrison.
Reece Priestland ready to go for the Scarlets in this second half. The Scarlets ready to go, facing the prospect of their second victory. Northampton facing the prospect of a second defeat. Sides have come from behind in pulls before. Sides have gone through, having just won 4 games, of course. 2 did last year to the quarterfinals, but history will be stacked against Northampton. The Scarlets will say, we don't care anything about their predicament. We could be in a magnificent position ourselves tonight with those pre-Christmas home and away games against Munster to come for the Scarlets. 40 fascinating minutes to come here. And here's Chris Ashton. And he's lost the ball early on. At the start of this second half, Northampton continuing to play almost diametrically opposed way to a they played last week against Munster. Priestland kicks again and kicks long. Ryan Lamb.
Out Green, keep coming out Green.
Temiev after it, no changes, say, made by either side at half-time. And now Northampton are passing on their errors to the Scarlets as George North drops it from Priestland there.
Again, good example of Priestland as a fullback. Talked about him in the first half, outstanding performance. But I think Ben Morgan's going to be very important for the Scarlets. There's no doubt at all the Saints will try and crank up the scrum. Undoubtedly, when they start to get tired, they bring on Doran Jones. Scarlets will be worried about the last 20, and Ben Morgan becomes very important there. I think both in attack and defence, he's made some very important carries around the fringes and from the base of the scrum. He's a key man for Scarlets in offence and defence.
Man born in England, qualifies for Wales next year through residency. He's already turned down the advances of the England Saxons team. Yet to make that final call, but the indication is that he will be turning to Wales if he said no to the Saxons already.
He's Bristol, isn't he?
Yes, Cinderford, his first club.
Number 1.
And Northampton get a penalty against Yestin Thomas. All happened at the front of the scrum, a long way from Ben Morgan at the base.
You can expect Northampton to just try and grasp this game via the grinding attrition of the scrum. For all the cleverness of the Scarlets, Northampton are just going to come again and again. That time, Tonga finding it very uncomfortable to get his binding. That was a good kick.
En route to this line out, Dylan Hartley was asking his players to really raise it here, to get the crowd going as well. That will be important for Northampton in this second period, to get that home backing. It has been a little bit quiet for the first 3 minutes of this second half, and it'll be quiet again as Hartley loses the ball to try scorer Matt Gilbert, who replaced another try scorer, Aaron Shingler, in that first half. Lee Williams with the first score for the Scarlets.
That's a really good long kick.
Making Artemiev go back. He wants help on the kick from PC, feeling that PC will get more length. And he does. You never thought that George Peacey was going to catch that one just before half-time that led to the try.
Where's a tale of England players on and off the pitch? Dylan Hartley losing the ball he should never lose, but with Ben Foden off the field, of course, you just get the feeling that Reece Priestland has far more freedom to just bash ball down there, hit it 60, 70 metres, because one of the great threats that comes from Northampton is that tandem attack of Foden and Ashton, and without Foden there, Northampton's great cutting weapon from deep is lost, and that's what enables Priestland to do this. Now, if Ben Foden's back there, he looks up and he thinks, is anything on? And he builds momentum and he gets his forwards going over the gain line. It's slow ball. Peacey just hooks it off the pitch. Scarlets have made 50 metres without doing anything.
And Peacey, not a regular full-back. He was brought from Clermont to be a centre.
It's an exposed position. I mean, people will say, what did he do with that missed kick? But it's a frightening position if you don't play that often.
Here's Priestland into that midfield, and it's good work between the two centres. Davis and Williams, and the offloading is really good from the Scarlets here. Sean Lamont.
Release screen!
And that is, of course, what the Scarlets can do. We haven't seen too much of it tonight. Tries have come about through different means. Runs through the officials missing a couple of offences. And once, of course, through Northampton making a calamitous error, but the Scarlets are really pushing hard here for what would be a bonus point try.
Stay back, stay back.
And one that would surely be making it too much for Northampton to do, even with all this time on the clock. You wouldn't rule them out because they are the home side and they got to the final last year and have all that experience to draw on.
Side entry, number 5.
But it's getting a sizable task even at this point. You do get the penalty and a chance to get the ball away, and Ryan Lamb. Have to do to the Scarlets what Leinster did to them in the final.
Jonathan Davis's line of a great pass by Priestland. Watch this now, the outside arc off the ball. It forces Clark to come in here, and that is going to open up hole in that 13 channel. He fades off the pass, checked for just a split second, confusion there, and the line from Williams is brilliant there. Gorgeous passing and angles from the Scarlets midfield there. Little hint of a decoy there, and that's a great ball, soft ball to Williams.
You need to make a substitution. No.
Matt Gilbert getting some treatment there.
Just clear it after. Just wash it off.
And I think the referee wants it clearing up a little bit more. Matt Gilbert, by the way, is deaf, and he is therefore will be an inspiration to those who suffer from that affliction.
Good pass there. Really good. Has to be said, you know, of the two teams, the Scarlets look infinitely more comfortable with their hand on the ball. And, you know, in the last 2 years, when the pressure has come on, it has been a valid criticism of Northampton that their general back play has been a little bit one-dimensional. They do rely on power, and if the power doesn't work, sometimes it all becomes Foden and Ashton, and with Foden off, suddenly the joker card's hard to play.
And we go to the front line and Dean Ryan.
Just get an example of Northampton trying to get their power into the game. See the shift drive, they've moved it to the back pod, they want to get the power, but it doesn't fool Scarlets. They're in, they're getting them on the ground, drive over.
All week,
Foden watching. Stuart?
I was going to say all week, everyone's been talking about Jim Mallender in England, but right now, Dean, I would hazard a suggestion that Nigel Davis is winning this one on the touchline, tactically.
Just in terms of thought processes, he's very clever. He talked about the power game. He understands where to engage, and he understands how to get out of there quickly.
Moving on quickly with the action. Dixon to Sean Lamont, and then Liam Williams. Priestland. And PC. And that time, a really good kick from the fullback. Where's the Northampton inspiration coming from?
Well, obviously, Chris Ashton is a world-class finisher, but right now, unless Northampton engage and get over that gain line, then they're struggling. Downey only crossed it once against Munster. They need him getting over the game line. They need to build by blocks their game. They're not a fluid team. That's how they get Ashton into it. And right now, that first stage isn't happening.
Northampton go over the top there.
Easy. 7.
And if that doesn't happen, Miles, it's going to be very hard for Northampton to win this game, other than by eking out penalties and drop goals.
Tom Wood who offended there. And Priestland not happy with that one, and you can see why. Did not get the distance that he wanted. And in the second half, the Scarlets at least getting the possession that they want, and if it stays like that, it surely stays as their game. But not quite where they wanted to be after Priestland's kick.
Well, it will be their game, Miles, because if they keep 70-odd% possession, they'll score tries. That's the way they play, isn't it?
Priestland entitled to make the odd mistake. It does give Northampton the chance here, but Dixon's just kicked the ball away straight down the throat of Lamond, and you could hear the reaction of the supporters as their restlessness reaches new levels. Dixon again to Lamb. Here's Downey. Downey coming through and then going through. Ashton. Everybody knows that a score for Northampton could really change things, and PC carries forward there. Dixon waits again. Out to Lamb. Downey who started the move. Some good footwork and then some real power. John Clark out to Hartley. Ashton still looking for it. That was forward. I think John Clark has gone down. He looks hurt.
Another little error from Hartley. You can see what he's trying to do there. The faithful reduced to prayers after just 48 minutes. That's the gain line that Northampton have to dominate, and that is much better there from Downey. We just said he hasn't been doing that today, but that is him at his barnstorming best, and those are the breaks that will give Northampton targets to attack, and it also will make Scarlets' defensive pattern harder to maintain if they could get quick phase ball as opposed to the slow stuff they've had for 50 minutes.
Clark's okay, man who suffered various injury problems in his career. There was the hit.
Well, that's late, and that should have been a penalty. Timani knew what he was doing. I've seen the Northampton second row coming with one or two of those, but today Laws has been wholly legitimate in his tackling.
It's fair to say that certainly Timani has put himself about a bit in this game.
Yeah, he's been fiery, hasn't he?
He's not shy. This man too, and he offers some power from number 8, Ben Morgan. He's going to be a challenger, it looks. Toby Faletau in his place. Riches for Wales in that department too. Now PC wants this. He's trying to stretch out with the ball. Was it on the move? No, it wasn't. It had stopped. Peter Fitzgibbon therefore awards a 22-metre dropout. If it was still in motion and PC was in contact with the dead ball line, then it would have been a scrum all the way back.
Scott Williams will say that was a beautifully weighted kick. Turned out to be, wasn't it? I mean, it's 70-odd metres made. Restart, no doubt about that. That ball ain't going anywhere.
Priestland again.
Brilliant bomb.
Testing again. Ryan Lamb takes on the responsibility, but only gets the ball after a second grab. Dixon. Nearly more calamity for Northampton there as Ashton kicks and Matt Gilbert goes back. Waved on again. Davis Maybe a little bit of space on this side. Tamani was waiting. Now he'll need to support. And he cleared that ball out. As we're still at the half-time score of 21-9. Here's Ben Morgan. Davis to Priestland. George North now, was he offside there? Well, the penalty has been given for a push. Dixon takes a quick tap, looks for that tempo to get Northampton going.
Knock on.
But all these knock-ons are stopping any sort of rhythm to the Northampton game that Dixon was trying to establish there.
And Priestland is going to keep going with high balls. Zoom circled here, George Peacey. Look at his head. He's looking up at the ball. And when I take this out, you can see to the right, Peacey going back into the 22 Lamb. He stops. He does not want it. And Ryan Lamb at the last minute has to go backwards. He's not expecting it. He gets skagged. Next time Reece Priestland gets a ball, he puts up another almighty bomb. And it's a shove from George North. But again, it's a threat. The Scarlets, there's the push, and you're thinking they've come here to win this game with a running game, but their kick-in is very clever, and the Saints are getting hammered in the aerial contest.
I think it's fair to say that Artemiev made sure it was spotted by the referee. I thought he joined the Bolshoi for a minute.
I'm an Arsenal fan, and there were shades of our shoving there. Oh dear.
There's North doing the shoving.
Comes up.
Yeah.
Nervous drink maybe from Jim Malander. Went the whistle.
Okay.
Dorian West, winner of this competition with Leicester. They're wanting Northampton here to find full power at the scrum. Have to wait for Damien Welsh to be part of it.
Hartley popping up as the Northampton scrum drives them through. Big psychological mark there. Hartley just rubbing that forehead straight into his oppo's face. But really, the only area where there's a clear, decisive edge in terms of power is the scrum. Nowhere else.
Touch.
Maybe that's Northampton's route to build the penalties, but look at the score. Start to look at the clock as well, and that is a better scrum from the Scarlets. PC.
Stand still, stand still.
Never looking entirely safe. Here's Williams. Priestland. Keep on doing it, he keeps bearing fruit. There's George North again. Northampton just cannot cope with the high ball. Dropped by Jonathan Edwards. And if the Scarlets can eliminate these little errors, they could really seize control of this match.
George North just to the right. You can see the chasing arrow coming. Priestland again. Put the height on it. Say to your international winger, you're 6'4", go for it. He goes for it. He makes it. No subtlety here, but if Northampton cannot take aerial control of these kicks, you're 12 points up at Franklin's Garden. You kick all day. This is about winning. It's not about beauty contests.
Northampton, that one match point, useful bonus at Thomond Park, but as it stands at the moment, nothing from this game. Dixon to Lamb. Tongoia. Lamb. John Clark being supported by namesake Callum. No, he doesn't have the E. There's Tom Wood. Still living off, not quite scraps, but not the majority of the possession. They're inching towards 50-50, but they're not there yet in this half. And the whistle goes again, and Northampton still stuck in first gear.
And another member of the England contingent as the crowd look on frustrated. Courtney Laws and Downey have just got in each other's way, and it's sloppy. Northampton will get a nice little tight driving game going down the short side, and then Courtney Laws just couldn't extricate himself from the path of Downey. And there you can see too many handling errors from Northampton, and I think we'll see it now, Miles. Laws gives the pass to Downey, and frankly he could easily have been penalised there. He gave the ball and he stopped dead to check his man.
And just look at the Northampton faces here, as they have the view from the stands, and look at their faces too. Anxiety written all over them.
Screen, number six.
Meanwhile, the other side of the coin.
Is Quinnell in there yet? See the bloke with the rugby post hat on.
Phil Dowson comes on, big experience of course. Off goes Callum Clark, man who's led this side, acts as the extra leader on the field alongside the official captain Dylan Hartley.
I think that even though Clark's carrying injury, Dowson is exactly the right call. He's a very clever player, and right now Northampton are playing quite one-dimensional rugby, and you need someone not just to be the inspiration as a player, but as a thinker, and I think Dowson's there to give a little bit of help here to Hartley.
Up comes the scrum again, and it's the Scarlets who get the penalty. Majati looks over to the referee and has a wry smile. So the question of who comes up first.
It's fair to say that Northampton aren't enjoying the Celtic League referees' interpretations of scrums. Tremendous kick. Well, Majati is in at an incredible angle there. He's just corkscrewed in. Oh. And it's only Friday night.
Yes, there was an assistant call there as well, I think on the far side when it came to the binding, so the decision actually was being given before the pop-up from Matthew Rees.
But then Majati was on the near side where the referee was, and that was clearly the penalty. Look at this.
Big drive from the Scarlets, taking a leaf out of the Northampton book and almost up to that Northampton line for a try that could kill it.
Watch your feet.
What a moment that would have been for the Scarlets pack, but they won't be complaining if they can still go on and get the try here with the second row of Welsh and Tamani. In goes Gareth Davis, goes to the blind side, Priestland to George North, and Northampton clinging on to him and clinging on to their chances in this match and possibly the competition too. Marshalling the troops again is Gareth Davis. Waits for another surge here. Northampton stuck deep in their own 22.
Release green.
And having to look for some shuddering tackles here. Here's Priestland to John Davis, and John Davis will test any defence. He goes through, makes good ground, it's on to Priestland, it's down on the boot, and it's Dixon, who this time doesn't make a mistake. And the referee's got to come back because there's a mini scrap. There you can see.
Well, that was nearly it. I think it's fair to say the mood of Northampton. Try there when that Scarlets juggernaut took off would have been it. I think you're right.
It's time off.
And if Northampton start losing the driving line-out game, that is a real case of confronting your enemy at their point of strength. Psychologically, that will do a huge amount for the visitors from West Wales.
Another delay to play here. Ryan Labb's frustrated. We will go to Dean on the front line. Dean.
Peter Fitzgibbon and his touch gets this spot on. Tonga has struggled all day. This penalty wasn't about popping up, it's about bind. He misses it again. You can see them indicating Scarlet's penalty gets them that field position.
Let's thought that was the case.
Matt Gilbert was very good there with the officiating as well on the short side, wasn't he? Looked over the touch judge, little index finger. Come on, ref. And here, an area of Northampton strength, and suddenly they just open up like a sieve. A fantastic drive, and Northampton do very well to stop that. Roger Wilson, you know, got himself in the way. That's a phalanx and a half.
Well, poor old Lee Dixon. He was trampled on, chewed up and spat out there. There's Morgan, now he's lost it, giving it to Tonga, to Majati, onto Artemiev. We missed that opportunity last week. Will Northampton come to rue that at the end of this night?
Release right off your feet!
That was Hartley. This is Dixon to Lamb. To Clark, tries to go on the outside, steps on the inside now. Looking all around for support. Ashton was there, but he's needing to help out, to clear out. And here's Lamb, short to Dowson. Back to Dixon. To Lamb again, to Majati. Dixon to Lamb and Artemiev. And the flag is up on that far side. He touched the line.
Little toe dance on the touchline there. It's not going the way of the Russian. And that was just better then from Northampton. You felt they were building something. A little bit of variety in their play, wasn't there?
That's where he could have done with being a ballet dancer. It was such a tight spot there.
Just so we can't see because of the touch judge who's looking straight there. Great position there. You couldn't ask for more than your assistant referee. Crowd. Oh, am I right? Am I right? Well, I'm on television and I'm going to keep smiling. Crowd are booing because the feeling is here that the Scarlets are taking breathers, that they're faking injuries, and they're just trying not to run the clock down because it's stopped, but just to get some air in their lungs for the ensuing onslaught that they feel will come in the next 20.
Northampton has stolen it. And Hartley to Dowson. Dixon, Lamb, this is Clark, might be a bit more space this time for PC. Dixon again, to Lamb. Roger Wilson tries to turn the right way and does. It was good tackling for the Scarlets, and they'll need to tackle again here. Majati throws it out. Ashton's on that far side now. In comes Scott Williams. We're in the guts of the game now.
Great speed, rush defence there from the Scarlets.
Tonga win. Hartley, Majati, score here from Northampton could really change it. Dixon. Tonga was getting in the way and Lamb was finding momentum, totally lost, but Wilson gets it going again. These are big moments in this match. Dixon to Lamb, Tonga and then a flailing boot from Hartley and Majati, all the front row involved, and none of it being done with conviction there. Northampton need to snap themselves into action. At the moment, the Scarlets soaking up the attack, but they will have to face a penalty, and they will have to face the next 10 minutes down to 14 men.
Cynical infringement.
Peter Fitzgibbon is not afraid of the big call.
Has to take 3 points here, Ryan Lamb.
It's Jonathan Edwards going off. And a key man, of course, the open side.
Yeah, exactly. One of the men that holds the defensive shape together, and the Scarlets' defensive shape has been very good. Northampton's passing under pressure hasn't been good. There's the boot, the right boot. It's cynical, and that's why yellow cards are brought into the game. It's caught, he knows it,
3 more meters.
and it's good officiating by Fitzgibbon.
Nigel Davis chews the gum. Ryan Lamb has to be in his space here. This was the wrong space that time, but it still might be the right space on the field for Northampton as the ball comes back to Lamb. Suddenly it's an attack with an extra man and Ashton couldn't take it. And now the Scarlets go on. Priestland hacking downfield. North going after this and showing his pace. And North gets a boot on it. He can't stay on his feet, but Priestland can. And he scores! He scores the bonus point. He scores possibly, probably, the winning try. What a start this is for Wales in this season's Heineken Cup. These tries have come about for the Scarlets tonight in unusual circumstances, but they have taken them. And what a finish this was. Northampton had every chance there. They had an overlap. Ashton missed the ball, and then he's got a long way to get back. And Priestland has got a long way to go.
Well, great pace from Priestland, and the Scarlets keep going. But I am afraid Chris Ashton has been appalling here. He loses the pass, and he just stops dead. Priestland is like a shot. He cements what has been a superb performance, but it's another passing error. It's another knock-on. But when you see Nigel Davis is going mad, he knows how big that is. The Gardens look good. Chris Ashton, well, hold your head in your hand when we see what happens.
That could be the moment. Great chase from George North as well. Power running from the big man. Now Priestland to gather another 2 points. It all started, of course, with Ryan Lamb hitting the post. Priestland doesn't hit the uprights, and the Scarlets lead 28-9.
In the zoom box, Ashton is about to knock it on now. When it comes off, look, watch what happens. He loses the ball. Keep your eye on Ashton. He turns his head away, he stops, and he cannot be bothered. Priestland thinks, well, I will. George North is going like the north wind. Priestland is going like the clappers, and the Scarlets are heading back to West Wales with what could be an unbelievable victory, and the Northampton fans are stunned. What is going on?
Changes being made. Ken Owens is on for Matthew Rees in the Scarlets front row. Matthew Rees, of course, returning as they celebrate. We look at their celebration, the Scarlet supporters, to that Priestland score. Rees coming back from injury, making the 65th minute. You can see there Samu Manar as well. He's on for Northampton. So too is the former Scarlet Martin Roberts. Priestland takes a blow as well. Another player not fully match fit, maybe for the full 80, although his contribution in the game in the 65 minutes has been superb, of the highest order.
And they're not short of experience, are they? Stephen Jones coming on.
And all those caps, Wales' most capped player.
No advantage, first lap up.
Northampton mistake again.
Well, I'm afraid, I don't know, it's very rare you see Northampton quit this game, but I just thought Chris Ashton, as their fans look on, horrified. Can't believe I've seen this. Ashton is such a committed player, but just watch this again now. He loses the ball. He's annoyed with himself. He turns his head the other way. He stops. Let's just see. No, there's no attempt to sprint back. You can see his legs there. 10 metres later, he thinks, blimey, but it's way too late. Jim Mallender, an illustrious fullback for Sale for so long, will be devastated with the performance there of Ashton.
Well, Hartley will know that from here it is asking maybe too much now. He's going to try and get his side in a position to lead with something, but the Scarlets can really ram it home, this lead now, and almost squeeze Northampton out of the competition. On comes Phil John, another experienced prop, as he replaces Iestyn Thomas. Well, 4 try score, bonus point at Franklin's Gardens. What a night for the Scarlets.
But it's not business. It's not business finished yet, is it? Because their mission now must be to guarantee Northampton getting absolutely nothing. 6 games, every point matters. Northampton could be a different team in West Wales. They want this to stay 5-0. That's the professional finale as Ben Foden looks on, and he has been sorely missed by Northampton, but one has to say Northampton have been around the park pretty clueless. They've been outgunned, outthought and outplayed by the visitors.
Well, clearly that Munster game took its toll on Ben Foden, but I think it's taken its toll on Northampton generally.
I think you might be right.
Up top.
Pause! Engage! Use the ball! Use the ball!
And Scarlets are exactly the kind of team who will pounce on any deficiency and take nothing away from the Scarlet performance tonight. They've been ruthless when it's been offered. Sometimes it has been offered on a plate, but they have gorged themselves on the opportunities.
No, they've neglected nothing, have they? You know, 9-28 at Northampton. That's a rare score. Martin Roberts now has his hands on the ball, a former Scarlet. Liam Williams looks on. He started it with, as we called it, that Barry Davies moment. No rain this time, but it was a lovely slide in finish, and it summed up, I wouldn't say the brilliance of the Scarlets today, but their composure and intelligence and will.
And belief. They came here clearly believing that this was their time to assert their position in European competition, and they've done that. Turning down the 3 points, of course, after this latest penalty. Northampton going for tries, and Lamb. 13 minutes left. I mean, this would be some comeback from here.
Well, the first agenda for Dylan Hartley and his team is to get 7 points here, then to get at least a try. Get a bonus point and then go for it. It's a good line-out ball.
Taken by Tom Wood, he tries to free himself. Another advantage here, penalty coming Northampton's way. We've got 3 minutes left on the sin bin for Johnny Edwards. Northampton looking to make use of the extra man, Chris Ashton. Bit more like it from him. George Peacey, more like it from him. And is he there? Peacey using his immense strength there, and he might well have got over to get that first score that Northampton will hope will be part of the dramatic comeback.
Is that the first stage on the road to redemption for Chris Ashton and Peacey? Ashton with a lovely angle and the final pass and the supporting line. Well, I think he's got the try, but we can't tell from that angle. But it does look like it, doesn't it? Unless he loses the ball. He has to be there. Try, yes or no? I can't see why you would say no.
Can you see why you would say yes? Is this the one that shows that?
Yeah, that's a try.
Northampton have to get it. They know that.
Yes, Dermot, go ahead. Yes. Thank you.
It is a score for George Peacey. Redemption time for him as well. The way it's gone for the Northampton stand-in fullback tonight. Thumbs up at last for the number 15.
It's a good finish, it's a strong finish.
Kick's important, gap at the moment is 14. If Northampton are thinking victory. Lamb pressure on here. But a great kick for him under that pressure. Big kick for Northampton. They're still in this.
Miles, you could see, send you a picture, Jonathan Davis, watch out, this clever line here from Johnny Clark. He's come from out to in. He's not going to get across, he's just checked there. So Ashton gets the pass away, and Davis a split second behind the 8 ball. PC drives in for the score.
Stephen Jones restarts. Who was taking control there? There was a look around, and it was Ryan Lamb in the end. And Liam Williams now for the Scarlets continues with this tactic of the up and under. Lamb goes in there again and catches. Caught by Stephen Jones. Downey tries to bash his way out of trouble. Lamb to Dowson. Laws. There's Roberts to Lamb. Going cross-field. He's deliberately skewed it backwards. So Artemiev got it.
Too much time in the air because it meant the Scarlets could get men across.
Tonga. It's almost got to be perfect rugby from Northampton here on in if they're going to perform this rescue act. Scarlets still looking control at the moment, but they were offside. And Roberts to try and worry his old side. There's Tom Wood. And a good carry from him. Roberts again to Lamb. Downey again. Lamb conjured up something for Downey down that channel. A little bit closer in Munster a week ago.
Road 5, release left 16.
After the next breakdown or break in play, the Scarlets will be back to 14. So here's Hartley and Clark to PC again. Little tap comes in from Williams, just enough to bring PC down. Roberts, oh, there's a gap in front of him. Boot comes in, but it's fallen for Tonga. It's back with Hartley. He wants the scrum half. There he is. Martin Roberts out to Ryan Lamb. Long ball. And sometimes draw in the winger to a point where he leaves the gap. And George North did well there to time the tackle.
Now it's out. Now it's out. Release red.
Hartley once more. Roberts to Lamb. To Clark and Lamb and Tonga, but that is just drifting forward.
Okay.
From the moment it left Lamb's fingers.
Stop it.
Well, the try just opened up an opportunity for Northampton, and the door almost opened further. Martin Roberts is very quick, but Rhys Thomas, the tight head, makes a great tackle. Roberts almost away there, and that's a brilliant tackle. And look how quickly Thomas is back on his feet fighting. That is tremendous play. 71 minutes into the game.
And he's going off now. Northampton too have removed 2 props. And big names as well in Tonga and Majati. There goes Rhys Thomas, and what a contribution at the end. Didn't he break his leg right at the start of last year's competition against Leicester?
I think he did, but he's bounced back, hasn't he, today? I mean, he would be a contender for man of the match. The way he's depowered Tonga, as we see PC off. Very clever game from Rhys Thomas, and a great tackle at the end.
Touch. Pause. Engage.
Scott Armstrong on as well, as we saw there. PC goes, the Scarlets have the ball, they almost have the match, they know that.
Great
The
run from
reaction
Davis.
to the Priestland score suggested that the whole team and management team as well felt they cracked it at that point. Still work to be done, but Ashton kicks for the corner as Northampton desperately try and stay in it. There's North and Williams, and Northampton will throw into this line-out, and it sort of has to be now or never for Northampton for this next try, doesn't it, in the next couple of minutes, to give themselves the chance for the really dramatic score in the last 5.
Yeah, they've got to get something very quickly just to unnerve the Scarlets. There was a sense when that try was scored and they picked up the pace, but they didn't score immediately. And Nigel Davis, he's off his seat now. He knows that a score now really opens this game up.
Good line-out win from Wood, but through the fingers of Lamb. And it's retrieved by Clark, and he's done really well, because Northampton know, and you could see it there in Clark's contribution, that they are dangling by a thread here in this season's Heineken Cup. Behind Lamb, forced to check again. How many times have we seen that tonight? Artemier pushed out, and on Northampton being pushed out of the cup.
Big second half from Jonathan David. He's really been impressive, both in attack and defence here, bringing all his Welsh international experience right to the fore.
And we have a full-time score from Cardiff, the match that you may have been watching if you've been flicking on the red button. And Cardiff Blues have beaten London Irish by 24 points to 18. Irish, well, they could be being pushed out of the cup because that's their second defeat. They've got another losing bonus, but that's played 2, lost 2. And Cardiff Blues starting with 2 wins. The Scarlets on the edge of 2 wins here. That was young Haywood who took it on. And it's a penalty for coming in at the side.
18, side entry.
Well, they can't go for 3 points because that still leaves them 9 behind. They could have gone for the scrum, but they're going for the line-out. That's a pretty good kick, you know, from Lamb, because he's halfway. He's halfway across the pitch, and he hit that well.
I wonder if the coaches would have preferred the scrum just by the look on the face, or is that just their general demeanour at the moment given the scoreline. Another change from the Scarlets at scrum half. Rodri Williams, another great prospect, comes on to replace another great prospect, Gareth Davis, who started it all with that speedy run in the first minute or so of this match. This dramatic game, this big story in this season's Heineken Cup. Whatever happens here, and the Scarlets have got it, and they've got a penalty as well, and maybe now they've got the win. The smiles have returned.
Time off.
Going to be a very happy journey when they get back on the M4 and cross the Severn Bridge. That decision there of Northampton to go for the line-out, not the scrum, is a strange one, because the scrum...
Running at me and screaming at me, okay? It's not acceptable behaviour by any player. Okay, so number 10, you're warning.
Warning their frustration for Northampton. I was going to say, a scrum right under the post gives Northampton the option with their scrum. They're putting a right hand on, reversing it with Roger Wilson. You go to the line out and you know where the attack is going to come from, and the Scarlets handled it.
Dowson now the captain, of course, in the absence of Hartley, in the absence of the starting front row. Why, says Jim Mallender. And that's not the only question he'll be asking in that dressing room tonight. He might have a big question to answer as far as England is concerned, but tonight, in the club colours of Northampton, Jim Mallender not had the performance he would have hoped for from his side, but what a contribution here from Rodri Williams. What stepping, and he gets it inside, and it's taken by Sean Lamont, and the Scarlets going for the coup de grace here.
Tucker, roll green.
Looking quite remarkably for a 5th try here at Franklin's Gardens, and it's Liam Williams who got the first of the night. And Rodri Williams again finds Stephen Jones. Williams to Jones once more, just trying to set up that ball in midfield, but that time his men had overrun him. George North had gone a little bit too far forward. Mike Haywood goes on. Roberts and Dowson there, and Roberts again, but Northampton stuck again. Deep inside their own half, Wood finds Clark. He's got Armstrong outside. That's John Clark.
Release, Fred!
But it's all looking too desperate now from the Saints.
Now it looks as if it's a bonus point only they're playing for.
Offside.
Penalty, that doesn't hurt the Scarlets, just takes the clock down.
There's Ryan Lamb, tap and go, looks for Ashton. Ashton inside to Lamb.
Touch.
And more whistle means more time. Seeping away from Northampton.
14,
Time for a Heineken Cup man of the match. I think of the players on the pitch, special mention for Ben Morgan, who on front and back foot has carried extravagantly well for them, but the man of the match has to be the new hero of Welsh rugby, Rhys Priestland. Complete composure to the man born as a fly half. Ran the game beautifully, rounded it off with a superb score of his own. He's got pace. He reads the game quickly. His mind is fast. His feet are fast. Star is born. He was outstanding in the World Cup, and he's picked it up again here at Northampton. Rhys Priestland, my Heineken Cup man of the match.
His penalty goal last week denied Cast.
Yeah.
A bonus point last week. Scarlets with George North still on the floor receiving treatment. So they're back down to 14 here, but they're nearly into safety time on the clock. Lost by Artemiev. He lost the ball last week when it could have won the game. And North is being helped from the field, and let's hope that that was not too serious. There he was, and his leg taken away from him there.
It's a dangerous thing to do, and you see a lot of it in the game, don't you? Must say, though, that last attack as well from Northampton, under pressure, their ability to pass, take passes and give passes is not good enough.
Touch! There's the twisting, the ripping action there.
See a lot of it, don't you?
So that's not a good side at the end of this game, North being carried off.
Release, great tackle!
It's the only negative for the Scarlets, isn't it?
And it's what will be a good side, and has been all the way through the scoreboard itself. Ashton, whose failure to track back on the Rhys Priestland score, will no doubt be a point of discussion after this game, reflecting Northampton's malaise.
Keep retreating.
Daniel Evans now on, that's gone forward, but it doesn't matter anymore as far as the result is concerned. It's about Northampton trying to scramble a bonus point, and quite frankly, and that's all they got last week, bonus point.
No,
doesn't look like enough.
Well, Miles, we've got to say now, Northampton finished their Heineken Cup campaign last year at the Millennium Stadium with a horrifying last 40 minutes. Leinster wrenched the cup from them. Munster made it 2 on the trot, and the Scarlets now 3 straight Heineken defeats for Northampton. It's a horrible trio of results.
And through they go to grab this bonus point in the shape of Tom Wood underneath the post now. It's got to be a drop goal conversion from Lamb. He's running up to take it, and he takes it on the run. Do we have time to restart? Northampton try and retake their starting positions. Peter Fitzgibbon looks over his shoulder. Scarlets are in no hurry to either retrieve the ball or get back to halfway. But the referee is in position. We will restart. Tom Wood has possibly thrown Northampton a lifeline here.
Well, this would be, in an amazing Heineken Cup season so far, the most staggering story of all if Northampton were to race upfield and win this.
The game seemed done. It was 41 phases last week from Munster. It nearly went forward on the first phase there for Northampton. And now those Scarlet supporters will be nervous. Tackle comes in from John Davis.
Great.
There's been a rock alongside Scott Williams.
Yeah, he has.
2 giant boulders, in fact, in midfield there for the Scarlets. Here's Roberts, it's lost, it's off the field. There is no dramatic finish here tonight. And the Scarlets in a group with last year's runner-up Northampton, one of this competition's biggest names over the years, Munster, and a side right towards the top of the French League Cast. It's the Scarlets with 2 out of 2. They have a bonus point win at Northampton at Franklin's Gardens.
Munster versus Scarlets next up. What a game that is going to be. The Scarlets, they are banging contention.
The Scarlets play with no fear. Northampton have a lot to fear now.
They certainly do, but the celebrations will continue all the way back to Wales. For the Scarlets fans, how quickly things can change in sport. What a horrible night for not only Northampton, but also Jim Malander. Their hopes now hanging by the finest of threads. But onwards and upwards for the Scarlets. We've never had a Welsh winner in the Heineken Cup. Is this to be the year that changes? Wow, they have started well. 9 out of 10 for the men from Llanelli. Munster, of course, travel to Castra in one of our live games tomorrow, but just the 2 losing bonus points for last year's runners-up. A couple of other results to bring you up to speed with as well. In Pool 2, Cardiff Blues have closed out the game against London Irish, but another losing bonus point for Toby Booth's men. They too in real trouble now. And Edinburgh have fought back from 44-20 down to beat Racing Metro by a point, 48-47. This extraordinary start to a new European campaign goes on, and Edinburgh 2 from 2. Blues also going well in that pool. And another result to bring you, Clermont Auvergne have hammered Aironi by 54 points to 3, and they currently top Pool 4. Leicester and Ulster is where we are based tomorrow at Welford Road. We don't have a great deal of time, which is a shame, because the Scarlets tonight, Sean, have laid on a real spectacular away performance.
They refused to be bullied. They stood the ground. The only time they went backwards was in the scrum. And a lot of them boys became men today, I thought. It was absolutely outstanding.
Absolutely. And what of Northampton?
Very disappointing. If you can't keep hold of the ball in a top-level Heineken Cup game, you're not going to win. Doesn't matter how much set-piece. We thought it'd be all about the set-piece domination. They had him in the scrum. They started to control the line out in the second half a little bit more. But every time the ball went loose, it went in the backs, the ball went on the deck. When the forwards tried to offload and play amongst each other, it went on the deck. And it kept allowing Llanelli to release the pressure. And in the kicking game of Priestland, he put him to the sword.
Absolutely. I mean, in terms of key individuals, the guys that really impressed you as part of this Wales coaching setup, who tonight?
Well, obviously, Rhys Priestland's one what stuck out. I thought both centres defended very, very, very well. George North obviously was his usual threat, but let's back up what Will said. I think it was the kicking game what won the game from tonight, and the kick chase was outstanding.
And a quick word on the Blues result as well. I mean, it just goes from strength to strength, doesn't it? Very quickly.
Yes, I mean, you look at the fact that Irish played with 14 players. It's not a bad performance by Irish, but in the end, it's a loss. And Cardiff go from strength to strength.
Top stuff, fellas. Thank you very much indeed. 7 out of 7 for the Scarlets, 7 out of 7 for the Welsh as well. It's over to the Ospreys in one of our live games tomorrow. See you then. Bye for now.
Watch all 5 Sky Sports channels on your mobile and online with Sky Go.